It's 5 o'clock.
Okay, let's call the City Council meeting for May 26, 2020 to order. City Clerk, could you take the roll?
City Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Member Doris.
Here.
Molly.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Vice Mayor Chris.
Present.
Mayor Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Good. Want to call the roll for the Housing Authority?
Housing Authority members Harvey.
Present.
Molly.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Vice Chair Chris.
Present.
Chair Zeto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. In response to the Governor's Executive Order N-2920, this meeting will be conducted telephonically and video streamed live on Channel 28 in the city's website. Public comments on agendized items may be submitted via email to Alexander, City of Lancaster, California.org at least 2 hours prior to the start of the meeting. Any agenda items to be removed? None? Going forward. The invocation, who's doing the invocation tonight?
I don't know that we have anyone slated for the invocation.
Carol, give it a shot.
Councilmember Doris gave the invocation at the last meeting, so it would be improper under our policy for Councilmember Doris to do it tonight. So we will need someone else to provide the invocation.
Any volunteers? Well, this is disappointing. Can I do it?
Yes,
You can.
All right, let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, please guide us through tonight's meeting with understanding and compassion, but with the firmness to make the appropriate decisions. We recognize that people are suffering from this COVID epidemic and the loss of income, and things are very difficult for our city. And we ask you to protect us and help us through this time. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, we will waive the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to Kitty Zeto. Zeto? Kitty, how do you say your name?
Zeto.
Zeto. How long has it been? I've been trying to learn that now.
11 years.
Wow. I'm slow.
Mr. Mayor, did we want to do the presentation?
Do we have a presentation?
We have a presentation on the agenda.
Okay, let's hear it.
Sorry, everybody, I just got on. I apologize.
We're on the presentation, Jason.
Yep, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am very excited to present to you tonight Turn Your Tassel, celebrating our Lancaster graduates. As many of you know, we've been unable to celebrate our graduations in our traditional fashion. And so we have decided to do a number of initiatives under Turn Your Tassel to be able to celebrate them. The first is a social media frenzy. It's exactly as it sounds. We are collecting photos from the community of our graduates, and we are sharing them across our social media platform. We've had about 70 students participate and over 25,000 people who have commented, liked, shared all of their photos. We'll be continuing this initiative in the coming weeks. We are also doing boulevard and park banners. We have 130 applicants that have been accepted. These should be up in the next 2 weeks or so, and they will be alongside Lancaster Boulevard as well as Sergeant Steve Owen Memorial Park. Jane Reynolds Park, and American Heroes Park. We are also giving away 400 take-home celebration kits. Essentially, it's a kit that we put together for people to be able to take home to decorate their yard. We have a yard sign, some light decorations, as well as a special surprise for all of the families. We are also doing speeches that will be shared on YouTube and LTV of local valedictorians, as well as ASB presidents. I have a sample here for you.
Hi, I'm Madeline Cruz, and I'm a valedictorian for Pericles High School. To the graduating class of 2020, congratulations. We have made it. I know that this may not be the High School Musical 3 some of us were expecting, but these past 4 years of hard work and, I'm sure, late nights are not any less significant because of all of this. I am so proud of all of us for still reaching this point, for finishing out the year strong, whether it was online or just with work being assigned to you. We did it, and we did it together. And just remember that throughout these next years of our lives, we will still be together. We will still be this class that has grown through the adversity, that has risen above the challenge. We are the class of 2020. I wish you all the best of luck in all of your future endeavors. And just know that with God behind you, you are unstoppable. So to the class of 2020, congratulations. I am so proud of you, and let's turn our tassels together.
So that's just a small sample of the videos that we will be sharing across YouTube, LTV, and our social media platforms. We are also giving away 500 certificates of recognition. Any family that requests ones will be given a certificate. We have virtual photo ops that are available for download so that graduates can take some photos without actually having to go out with a mask for some photographs. We are also doing a virtual congratulations. A huge thank you to our council members and our mayor for videoing. We will be sharing these messages across our social media platform, just uplifting and inspiring our community. We will also be accepting short clips from our community wishing and congratulating their graduates. We will be airing those on LTV as well. We also have a section of our website dedicated to Turn Your Tassel with a number of ways for families to be able to celebrate at home. And last but not least, we'll be doing congratulations around the city. This will include banners, billboards, and signage throughout our public areas celebrating our graduates. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I can turn the meeting over to.
Mayor,
I'm getting a feedback. Is anybody else?
Yeah.
I think that was Jason.
Everybody turn off their mics until you want to talk. And now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Kitty.
All right, Jason, were you going to say something? City manager? No, okay. We have a new business item, HANB1. We have a staff report. Do we want to waive reading of that? And just go to a motion in a second? You're on mute.
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
All right. How do we vote? Do we just verbally?
Just call for a
It's a
roll call vote.
vote.
Okay. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
I do have one comment on this item that I received, one email comment. I didn't know if you wanted me to read it before you did the vote or.
Yes, we need to read it before the vote.
Okay. So I had one comment from Fran Sarah-Saris, and it was more of a question. She asked, what happens after 45 years? And what happens if you pay before 45 years? And that was the only comment that I received on HANB1.
All right. Should we vote? Or
So Chairman Zetto, it would be appropriate to ask the city clerk to do a roll call vote.
Okay, city clerk, can you do a roll call vote?
Okay. Housing Authority members Harvey,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chris,
Yes.
Chair Zetto.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
All right, I'll turn the meeting back over to Mayor Paris.
So, did you miss me? Okay, where are we?
We are on the minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move that we approve the minutes M1 and M2.
Is there a second?
I second that.
City clerk, please take the roll.
Were there any comments, Madam City Clerk?
No comments on the minutes. City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Consent calendar, is there anything to be removed?
Do
Nothing?
we have any comments?
Yes, I have two comments. One is for CC5 and the other is for CC8.
Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar, setting aside 5 and 8?
I'll move that we accept the consent calendar as currently presented, removing CC5 and CC8.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
City clerk, please call the roll.
City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes. Passes unanimously. CC5, do we have a comment on that, or how do you want to, I forgot how we do that. How do we do that? Help me out.
We need to have the clerk read the comments and then we'll vote.
Okay.
On CC5, this comment is from Fran Sayers, and it says that she thought that the roundabouts were already built. Why are we spending money on it? And that's the only one I have for CC5. On CC8, again, Fran Sayers, and her question is, why are we paying for new equipment at the Sergeant Owens Memorial Park when equipment was purchased when it was open? Those are all the comments I have for the consent calendar.
Thank you. Does anybody remember when that park was opened? Anybody? I remember. It was 3 years after the city was incorporated. It is time to replace the equipment. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move CC5 and CC8.
There a second?
I second that.
City clerk, please call the roll.
City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes, it passes unanimously. Moving on. Public hearing item 1. Let's open the public hearing. Are there any speaker cards or comments?
No, I did not receive any comments for PH1.
Let's waive the staff report. Is there a motion?
Move to approve PH1, A, B, and C.
You know, before we go on with this, I think I would like the staff report. Who can do that?
I believe we're slated to have Toy Chisholm give that staff report.
I'm sorry, who?
Toy,
Okay, Toy.
and I know she's on.
Okay, Toy, you're on. Toy, are you there?
Hello, Mayor.
Yes.
Hi, Mayor, council members. I'm sorry, it's Toy Chisholm. Okay. It's my pleasure to present this item tonight, as many of the programs being recommended excite me, as I find them responsive to the community's needs at hand. By way of background, on April 23rd, 2019, the City Council approved the 2019-2020 Community Development Block Grant One-Year Action Plan, which provided a summary of proposed program activities the city would undertake. The city's annual action plan was submitted to and approved by HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. In response to a thorough review of the proposed activities, consultation with HUD representatives, recognition of emerging community needs, and the COVID-19 pandemic, there is a need to amend the 2019-2020 CDBG Action Plan. As well, and as part of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, known as the CARES Act, special CDBG grant funding to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus was issued by entitlement, to which the City of Lancaster received. And when making any changes to HUD-approved action plans, which includes accepting the new CARES Act funding, an amendment to the action plan is necessary, as well as the public hearing tonight. There are a few activities that I would like to highlight that are included in our amendment. The first one is Feed the Need, which to date has delivered over 15,000 meals to seniors and homeless families. If you will remember, the City of Lancaster, by way of emergency declaration, was one of the first to immediately respond to feeding our local seniors and began this program on March 23rd, 2020. This amendment would actually solidify that action taken and would extend Feed the Need through the end of the 2020 calendar year. The next activity is Kensington Campus, and this funding is to assist with the associated construction costs for the final phase of the interim housing in order to meet the opening date of this July, which is even more critical during this time with the pandemic. This phase will immediately house an additional 156 persons experiencing homelessness. And I would like to note that this item being supported, this item on Kensington Campus is being supported by the County of LA with a 2-to-1 match. The other is an urgent need. HUD allows cities to apply for an urgent need, which is a reimbursement of a portion of the city's eligible emergency expenses as a result of our immediate and proactive response to COVID-19. And the last item is a rental assistance program. We would like to establish a grant program for eligible community members residing in the City of Lancaster who have been negatively impacted by COVID-19. This program in particular is one the community has inquired about. It is amongst the greatest need, housing insecurity. As you may recall, the County of Los Angeles just announced a similar program, but only residents living in the unincorporated areas of LA County are eligible. And the county has been very clear in directing all other residents to their respective local governments. And while some cities are still receiving inquiries, the City of Lancaster is once again responding with action. While we know the needs are greater than the resources, we are proud to present this substantial amendment for the CDBG annual action plan for the 2019-20 year. All HUD noticing guidelines have been followed and all public notices were provided. As such, it is staff's recommendation that the amended action plan be approved and forwarded to HUD. This concludes my presentation. I'm available should you have any questions. Hello?
Questions? Hearing no questions, are there any speaker cards or comments from the public?
No comments on PH1.
Okay, let's close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move PH1, A, B, and C.
Is there a second?
A second.
I'll second that motion.
City Clerk, please take the roll.
City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Van,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on. New business item 1, Stand Strong Reopening Assistance Program.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And if Shannon could put up the screen share. At our last council meeting, if you recall, you asked staff to look into opportunities for opening the economy. Not only looking at opportunities, but looking at strategies for opening the economy, and we have done that. Today, we're going to kind of provide you a synopsis of where we think we're going, and this has been a moving target, frankly. Even today, we're getting information as it relates to what the county is doing from a standpoint of operations. So I'm going to start by just recapping where we've been, a little bit where we're at, and then Shannon Dow will come in and talk about where we're going from an economic standpoint. And as you guys know, this has really transitioned from a health emergency, which there still has health impacts and health challenges, but now it's working into an economic emergency where we're actively seeking ways to make sure we get the economy back and rolling. If you recall, from a response standpoint, we were some of the first on duty as it relates to being aware of this and being prepared for this. It started with appointing a team of experts, including an epidemiologist from UC Riverside, Dr. Stock, who was on the call today, and Dr. Trong, who have been great assistants in this process, not only leading us, but also sharing input and ideas in preparation for what we have going on. The key to that preparation is what we have done from a communications perspective. If you look at the public information we put out from the standpoint of people wearing masks, the social distancing, to where you can get information, to business services, all those things, our communications team was on it early, communicating strong, and kudos to Mayor Paris, who was on every day at the beginning and is still on every day, reporting what's going on and how it's happening. So we've just done, I think, a remarkable job, and our staff's done a remarkable job communicating those challenges. That effort isn't over. That effort will continue as it relates to the recovery component and the resurgence. So we'll talk about that as we're moving forward. Not only in public information, but from an emergency response standpoint, we were early with the Door Drop program, which is delivering hot food to individuals who are in need, as well as the Feed Your Need program in partnership with the churches. And of course, partnership with some of our local manufacturers who got in early to help the hospital, not only with services, with tools, but also with the needed PPEs and supplies. You'll see there is the bubble, which it's the bubble head, which has been a tool that's been utilized in the hospital as well. Not only that, we were really early on, got 600 beds at field hospitals at the hospital or at the fair in partnership with ABTA, the fairgrounds, the hospital, and that facility is still open, or I should say still available if that need comes to fruition. But obviously with the numbers we're seeing, that need isn't there, but we are still prepared nonetheless. And then what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Shannon to talk about the road to recovery, of where we've gone from a standpoint of the programs that we've implemented so far, the road to recovery. And then she'll talk a little bit about the resurgence and where we're going. So I'll turn it over to Shannon now.
As Jason mentioned, we've had a number of initiatives on the recovery path. These include the Small Business Recovery Resource, which is a team of dedicated experts of city staff who have familiarized themselves with the many different programs available to small businesses to help them navigate that maze through these times. The Stand Strong Business Recovery Loan Program, which makes local businesses eligible for loans of $5,000 to $20,000 to act as bridge funding throughout COVID. We've also worked for to attract volunteers for the many needs we have in the community, as well as a number of quality of life initiatives, such as the MOLA's virtual museum efforts and their Young Artists Workshop, which has been available for pickup each week. In addition, the communication staff has engaged in the I Wear a Mask For campaign led by the council, as you can see here, just demonstrating to people that while, for example, a cloth mask may not necessarily protect you personally from the virus, it does protect other people from you. And the studies we've looked into for this reopening plan actually showed that there's an 80% reduction in the transmission rate when masks are worn. And countries like Japan, where masks are worn just culturally in general, have been much more successful in taming the spread and reducing the spread. So they are working towards reopening much faster than countries where mask wearing is not culturally accepted. In addition, on the recovery path, our capital engineering team has been very active in accelerating our capital projects to ensure that we are putting people to work in that arena. Our staff has worked to put together reopening guidelines. I want to emphasize that LA County Department of Public Health, of course, is the experts in this arena, but in light of some of the industries looking for guidance ahead of reopening, we've drawn on other states and other communities where there are some of those types of industries that are still closed here in LA County to give them some guidelines to go on as they begin to make their plans. So this slide shows the complicated and ever-changing maze of what is and isn't open. So this changed, as you probably are aware, a number of times today. Of course, over the weekend, in-person religious services were added with modifications to stage 2 and are now permitted to be open throughout LA County with the new order that the county actually just released right before this meeting began. They are also looking with that new health order that will be formally issued today. They will be opening in-store retail as opposed to just curbside pickup, and people will be following the same types of protocols they're already following in grocery stores and places like Costco. Dine-in restaurants, they do need to apply with the state for a variance for that to allow the county to do that. However, they are in that process and will be applying for that variance tomorrow. In addition, as you know, we've formed a coalition with the City of Palmdale and the City of Santa Clarita to request that North LA County would be considered separately from the rest of the county. And I believe another of the district supervisors had some cities in her district as well that would apply to. So under our own metrics, we would be eligible to be in stage 3. So with that, the county has agreed to apply for a variance for the different cities in the county. Given that we are the largest county with 88 cities, that makes all the sense in the world to make sure that data and science are governing who is open and who is not, as opposed to just lumping us all in with everyone else. So it's important to emphasize as we enter the reopening phase that this is the new normal. Going back to opening does not mean that everything goes back to normal. We will continue to wear our masks, wash our hands, and keep our distance while in public spaces. And if we follow those protocols, the experts do believe that we can continue to keep the spread low and avoid a second wave of the virus. So with that, the city has put together a number of programs under the council's direction to help our economy resurge following the COVID-19. First of these, of course, was Operation Jumpstart, which you approved at the last council meeting. And this provides gift cards of $500 for new vehicle purchases as well as leases, and $250 gift cards for used vehicles purchased at the Lancaster Auto Mall, Antelope Valley Harley-Davidson, as well as Palmdale Auto Mall. The next thing we'd like to propose tonight, and this actually is ND1, is the Stand Strong Reopening Assistance Program. We still have a significant amount of funding left in the Stand Strong Business Recovery Loan Program. We've spent about $500,000 on loan funds, and we are recommending that of the remaining $1.5 million, we take half of that, so $750,000, and reallocate it to Stand Strong Reopening Assistance. So there are a number of new costs that businesses are facing, both in terms of personal protective equipment for their employees and customers, as well as things like hand sanitizer and cleaning products, many of which are actually hard for them to procure. So our suggestion is that we would actually procure them on their behalf. And this program would have the flexibility to where if there's an industry that doesn't meet some of those, that those are not their primary needs, there's something in addition that they would need, the city can go ahead and procure that as well. Stand Strong and Stay Active, you actually approved with CC7. In incorporating the changed fees, we added a new element that would waive all rental fees for city parks. to allow any gyms and fitness-related businesses to use our city parks for free to hold their classes and follow the protocols in order to keep their businesses open, although they are not allowed by the state to actually reopen quite yet. And another program we're proposing as NB2 is the Grocery Worker Appreciation Program. So this is through Lancaster Choice Energy. And this would allow us to kind of shine a light on one of those essential workforces that probably never thought they would find themselves on the front lines of the pandemic. So throughout, obviously, the last few months, grocery workers have been exposed over and over throughout their shifts to COVID-19. And we just wanted to find a small way to say thank you. So under this program, we would allocate $50,000 in LCE revenue, and those would come in the form of rebates to LCE customers. So that would be anyone that is an LCE customer and works at one of these business types would be eligible, and they would apply for a rebate of their up to $50 on their LCE charges for that month. Going into the summer months, we think this will maximize the benefit for those workers. In addition, we have an Open for Business platform through Blue Dot that we've started. This was based on the Takeout and Chill platform, and we've expanded it to include any type of business. This platform is very helpful because any business can actually enter their information directly onto the platform. And people who are browsing, you can see here we have it relegated to food and beverage, so you can search for the type of business you're looking for and see what's open here in Lancaster. In addition, we're looking to launch hot summer nights on the Boulevard, recognizing that when dine-in does take place here in LA County, it will be at significantly reduced capacities. We'd like to give our businesses the flexibility to have outdoor dining and be able to maximize their revenue in that way, and also maximize the number of people who can enjoy their services. So with that, we're proposing that we close a core block of the Boulevard, and we would allow restaurants to spill out onto the street. So this would be a city-run event. We would ensure that staff are properly sanitizing. We would have staff on hand to make sure people are following social distancing measures, and people can come out and get their takeout from a nearby restaurant and enjoy the night on the Boulevard. So guys, we skipped one here. And finally, we have our senior documentary program that our communications team is putting together. They're looking to reach out to those people who are isolated in nursing homes or in even retirement facilities that are not able to go out and enjoy the community as they normally would, and connect with them and learn their stories and share them with the community. And finally, I'll turn it over to Jason for next steps.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. As we progress, so we've got a number of different programs we're rolling out. And with the success from our supervisor, Catherine Barger, to allow us to be treated differently and move deeper into the launching program, I think there's a couple things that we need to continue when we move forward. One is begin opening all services currently permitted for municipalities, specifically cities, and understand those as the state orders come out. That authorization from council, rather than being one at a time, that get an understanding from a staff perspective that when these are available to open, we open them immediately, appropriately, with social distance, obviously, as well as mask wearing and all the protocols necessary. That'll allow us to quickly move into the next phase from a city perspective, and allow us to continue to push the economy forward, as well as providing those services to the public. I think it's important that we can continue to communicate the latest health orders and stats and requirements. So as these roll out, it's even difficult sometimes for city staff to keep up. When we heard the stories about churches opening, the president came down and said he's going to make them all essential services. Then the state did it today, and we're waiting to see if the county does it. So in each of these phases, there's different rules and regulations. It's trying to be that resource to our customers, or to our citizens, our businesses, to say, this is the resource available to you. These are the rules associated with opening, and this is when you can open. So trying to be that conduit, because it is difficult to navigate, especially with things moving so quickly. And everybody's working, I think, in the same direction to get things open. It's just a matter of when and how, and that's where we want to focus this effort and this team. And also work with the businesses to reopen following state and county guidelines. Again, there are going to be rules and regulations associated with each one of these things, and it's important for us to understand those. Hopefully, maybe not recreate them, but understand them so that we can share with those businesses and how to open. And as Shannon mentioned, the program where we're allocating funds that we can actually provide services, not only products, but services as well to help folks reopen. And of course, aggressively petition the county and the state to let us move into phase 3 sooner. The stats and numbers, you see them daily as staff sends them out to you guys. The county sees them daily. The hospital sees them daily. Dr. Stock sees them daily. The numbers are so very low. It is time for us to move into phase 3. And the aggressively that we push to get phase 3 open, the better off we're going to be. So we're literally going to lean on you guys. We're going to lean on the community to step up and say it's time for us to get to level 3, so that we can get those other businesses that Shannon pointed out on that slide. So I appreciate the time. Obviously, the staff who's been working on this. It's been a moving target, but from where we've been to where we're at now and to where we need to get, I think this staff has been far more prepared than most and ahead of the game. And what's interesting is anxious to get stuff moving forward. Shannon's working on this because this is an economic development story now. This isn't a health story. There's still a health surrounding it. But at the end of the day, it's about how do we get our economy back and rolling to its greatest extent possible as soon as possible, knowing that we've done those things from a health perspective that allow us to do that and do that right. So with that, I'll take comments and questions, and obviously hope that we get movement and going to this next phase.
Any
Jason,
comments? Any questions? Go ahead, Mark.
I just wanted to understand from Jason what his timeline is for the presentation to the county to let us go into phase 3.
Yeah, they came out, minutes before this meeting started with their new order. And I've been communicating with some of the other city managers as it relates to this question becomes, do we petition the county to petition the state? Does the state petition the county? We still have to figure out how that works. So, we're prepared. We've already done what they call an attestation on behalf of the city if we had to apply to the state directly. So we've worked on that. But it's now understanding, because the rule is out so soon or so recent, that some of those questions are still unanswered. But I think the key is be prepared to do whatever it takes. So we're prepared to petition ourselves. We're prepared to petition with the other cities, and we're prepared to work with the county to allow them to petition, if that makes sense. I know there's a lot of petitions in there, but nonetheless, I think that's where we're at right now.
Would it be better for us to petition the county and the state now so we can hurry? This is days could mean businesses. So the sooner we get this done, the better.
I would agree completely. And, as I said, currently my phone's being rung and texted by people trying to figure out how we do that. So it is our highest priority right now is to get that into phase 3.
Okay.
So Jason, clarification. So you're saying that was a yes to Marvin's question?
If the question was, do it as fast as possible and whatever means possible, the answer is yes.
So simultaneously submitting it to the state and to the county, or no?
Well, if one is understanding what we need to submit and how, right? We don't know that we have the authority to submit to the state. So we could do that, but it may mean nothing at the end of the day. We are prepared to do that. But it's working with the county, who's supportive. The county, in their motion today and in their work that they delivered today, our supervisor is supportive to that happening. So it's working with those professionals who are in daily contact with the State Department of Public Health to make sure that we do this as quickly as possible.
And that would be where the state is at today? Because obviously there was, in the governor's update, he's already allowing both counties and cities to move into the first part of stage 3.
Yeah, our goal with the county's order today, they met the state's requirements to a great extent, right? So our goal is to push beyond that into phase 3.
Yeah, I would like to see us catch up with the rest of the counties. There are 50-some jurisdictions that are are now moving well into phase 3. And our numbers were equally as good, or to some degree, possibly better. So I would think it's time for us to play catch up now that we've got their concurrence.
Absolutely.
Okay. And again, I want to thank the mayor. I know some people towards the beginning threw a bit of a little bit of pushback, but I think that's also what's got our numbers down to where they're at. And hopefully that'll let us lead the way. Because again, if it wasn't for the 3 cities making that big push to the County Board of Supervisors, we might not have gotten the answer that we got today. So thanks, Mayor Rex.
Thank you. I don't think we got the answer we wanted, though. I think it was 2 people for us. We needed 3. Is that correct, Jason?
The way the order came out, they came out of closed session. I understand. I don't know how the votes went down, but they had authorized the Department of Public Health to petition regionally or for individual cities to the state to be treated differently. So it wasn't just Lancaster, Palmdale, and Santa Clarita. They made it countywide for those cities that qualify with the low numbers. Right?
Correct.
That makes sense.
Correct. You're correct. But Rex, going into that, it was a split. 2 was for it, 2 were against. And Ridley Thomas wanted to take it into closed session to discuss it. He didn't want to give a position. And then coming out of closed session, Catherine made the announcement that they were going to move forward.
With requesting the state. I mean, they didn't give us anything.
No.
Okay. So, Jason, you're going to get an executive decision here. The president has come out and said that churches are an essential service. I agree with him. I think the federal government preempts the state and the county. The churches open in Lancaster. If somebody wants somebody to go to jail for it, they should come get me. But it has to be pursuant to an approved plan that the city approves, meaning there better not be anybody in that congregation without a mask when we come to inspect. Some of the churches have done an incredible job in coming up with a proposal. I want all of those proposals reviewed, and starting next week, churches in Lancaster can open. And if they want to make it a constitutional fight, we've been there before. We've yet to lose. I don't think we're going to lose this one. In regards to the rest of it, I think we should be clear what's happening here. Is Lancaster very early, thanks to Dr. Stocks and Dr. Trong, came up with very reasonable steps to keep this thing in check. As a result, we have incredibly low numbers. The other cities did not do that. And I am reluctant to allow our people to be categorized with the rest of the cities that did not take the steps that they should have taken early. Am I making sense to everybody? Help me if I'm wrong here, because I'm really getting more and more angry about how our people are being treated. Is it clear? Marvin, you usually are able to filter me.
It is clear. It's what we should be doing. I was a little concerned. I watched the county today. It was, like Mr. Mann said, a 2-2 split. And it was basically the other 2 were saying that we need to go down with the rest of the vote. When the vote goes down, we need to go down with them. And we are separate. We are a different entity on its own. And I'm glad to hear you say that about the churches. And I'm glad that I think that we still need all the social distancing, and we need to make it clear to everybody that we will be forced to close back up again if we have a problem. And that's what they need to look at. It's like we're doing great now. We just need to make sure that all the protocols are followed.
I agree.
I mean, if I can jump in, Mayor, and we'll verify, I believe the county order also allowed churches to open with conditions, but we will verify that and work closely with them to make sure, because I think the key there is the mask wearing, is that, I believe the county order requires the mask as well, but nonetheless, it is essential that we work closely with those folks to make sure they do it right, because there are potential negative impacts, and we will do that.
All right. Just so long as we're clear, they get to open. As long as they follow the rules, they can stay open. If they break the rules, it will be without mercy. Those rules have to be followed because people die when they're violated. I don't want to listen to anybody's conspiracy theories or anything else. These are the rules. You follow them, you can stay open. You don't follow them, I'll put a fence around that church. Let's be absolutely clear how we're going to do this. I want people to understand there's a balance to this, and we have to preserve that balance. I was listening to the $1.5 million we have left. Make the churches a priority in regards to that the masks are there, the testing is there. The churches are a perfect place to do testing when anybody comes in with a fever or anything that looks suspicious, because, we can move them to the side, test them, and then track them. All of the churches have to agree to that process, because we cannot let people come into a room full of other people, regardless of the social distancing, if they are infected. So we have to have people at the door checking them, their temperature. And we have Tiffany. What's Tiffany's last name?
Banner,
who is working with the churches. She's a PA and making certain that these protocols are put into place. And Jason, we have the funding for this. Use it. And, work with the city attorney to make it so we can legally use it. There's got to be a way to if we do it outside the church as they come in, maybe that's a solution. Talk to me, Allison. Do you see a problem here?
If we're using city staff to provide screening services at nonprofit organizations?
Yes.
If we make it available to all nonprofits, I suspect we're fine, but I'll want to look into it more carefully.
Okay, terrific.
Could I ask a question, Rex?
If it's a good question.
Actually, it's to Dr. Larry Stock, our deputy mayor, if he's able. Dr. Stock, I'm sure you've been hearing this battle with masks out in public, masks inside, and I'm hearing our mayor, and I'm specifically speaking now towards with us opening up and being prepared to get the economy back rolling and booming. Could you tell us your expertise on the masks? Are they more necessary inside a building than outside of a building? What is it that you're seeing, and what is your? I don't want to make this a political thing. It's coming down sounding like it's being very politicized right now. Can you tell us from what you've seen and your expertise, and this is the reason why the mayor made you a deputy mayor, to advise us on this. Tell us the importance of masks right now. Is it more important to wear them inside, outside, or just 24 hours a day?
So that's a good question. So the mask is important to prevent transmission from person to person, which is the number one way that we spread this thing around. So there are times when you don't need to wear a mask. For instance, if you're down, let's say at the beach, and you're walking with your dog and you're by yourself because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, you probably don't need a mask at that time because there's no other humans around you. Okay. But whether you're outside and you're in a area where there's other people, or you're inside and there's other people, you're going to be wearing a mask to protect other people. You also protect yourself. Depends what kind of mask you're wearing, but the point is that is what we all are going to need to do to keep this from transmitting, especially when there's going to be a risk of crowds forming. You also saw pictures on CNN of people in swimming pools in the Ozarks this weekend, and those people are just, they're in a petri dish. If anyone has it, they're all going to get it because they were all about 6 inches from each other. And God forbid any of them are high risk for death if they get it. So we got to think about having a culture of safety, and that includes wearing the mask inside, outside, whenever there's other people around. Now, it's a little different if you're in a family unit and you're at home. Okay, there's different things within family, so people are gonna decide that. Depends who's in your family. If you have, my parents are in their 80s, so I wear a mask when I go to see my parents. I don't wear one when I go home. So it depends who you're trying to protect. So you got to know who your people are, and that's part of the culture of safety is respecting other people, understanding what their vulnerabilities are. And if we're one of the vulnerable people, we got to respect ourselves. So we have to protect ourselves by wearing that mask as well, and having other people around us wear the mask. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Okay. Anything else? Larry, you look really tired.
Yeah, well, I actually got a little sleep this weekend. I think we're doing really well. I appreciate that. I think I look tired like people do after final exams when you finally relax after a long getting ready for those, a big goal. But I think I'm very proud of Lancaster. I'm very proud of how the Antelope Valley is doing. I agree. We are doing heads and tails above LA County in general. I think when we look at per capita numbers rather than raw numbers, California is actually doing very well compared to the rest of the country. So, and it may have been Jonathan and I helped out, but it was you who brought us on, Mayor, and had the first mask order. So I think we are behaving super well from the beginning till now, and I think we're going to continue that as we start to reopen. And we do need to reopen, but we have to reopen safely and hit that sweet spot, and we'll do it. We just need to keep getting those messages out about screening, hand washing, wearing the mask, social distancing, and a culture of safety.
Good, thank you. Jason, I want to be certain that there are masks available at public places so that, the other day I was at a grocery store and I said some very rude things to somebody who wasn't wearing a mask, but at the same point, there wasn't any masks there for them when they came in. I want us to take a look at that and make certain we deal with that issue. Can we do that?
Right. What we do, Rex, and this is or Mayor, the requirement is that you cannot come into the store unless you have a mask. So there's two factors of that. Is one, when we hear those stories, we send out code enforcement to verify, and in most cases, the businesses are complying very well. So we might hear somebody from something, we go in and they comply very well. If they don't comply, if the issue is one, if they don't have a mask, they should not come into the building. Two is we also communicate that we do have masks available for them if they want it to give to their patrons before they come in. So it really is a balance, and it is we try to do that as we get complaints. So if whatever store you're in, if you let me know which that was, we can go out there and make a response and provide those services.
Well, it wasn't in Lancaster. Otherwise, I would have let you know.
We are getting very good compliance. Our code enforcement guys go out on a regular basis on complaints that they get from the Department of Public Health about either businesses being open when they shouldn't or businesses not following the social distancing rules. And those guys they're very customer service oriented. I mean, we're not being the heavy enforcers. But at the same token, when they go in, they're honest about compliance, and our community is doing a very, very nice job.
Yeah, I'm really proud of them. So, Larry, is there any benefit to us looking at sanitizing areas, with like that NASA device or with hydrostatic or electrostatic sprayers? I mean, apparently there's new research coming in as to just how long this sticks on the surface. Can you help us with that?
I have to admit, I'm not an expert on that stuff. I do think we should look at what guidelines are for cleaning areas, and we should keep them clean. I think I don't know what methods are being recommended for various public and private spaces, but I think when we read through our guidelines, it's pretty consistent. Every one of them says we need to keep high-touch surfaces clean, and I think that can be done with pretty simple type of tools of topical sort of talking about doorknobs and handles and things like that. I think that's where the high risk is. That's where people are touching a lot of. I think beyond that, a lot of these industrial sort of things, I'm not that up on, to tell you the truth. So I really can't give a sharp answer on that.
Okay, great. So, Jason, we did a training video for the law office that I was actually very impressed with what they did. And I'm wondering if we should get some training videos up on the city website. And there was stuff I didn't really recognize, they did a thing where two people were in an office talking, and the question was, what's wrong with this? When somebody walks into your office, stand up, because if you're sitting down and talking over you, you're much more likely to get the droplets, that the person sprays. But anyway, I may just go ahead and put it on, but I think we need to make certain these training videos get out as we reopen. You pointed out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll have the reopening assistance team work on that, because I think that's part of the story, is educating not only the public, but the businesses that are going to start reopening, the kind of the best management practices, so to speak. And sometimes it's better to hear from a video than it is from some written down thing from the Department of Public Health. So I'll have our team look at that.
You pointed out to me today that, if we want to get a haircut, we got to go to Roseman to get it. I mean, that's pretty stupid. Although I'm beginning to like my long hair. What do you all think? No?
I think when you finally get the man bun, then we'll have arrived.
When I what?
When you get the man bun.
As long as you don't do a mullet, we okay.
Is that what you call it? Okay. You mean like Marvin? I thought I was trying to avoid that.
It didn't work.
Okay. So we're going to let the barbers and the cosmetology people open?
That's pushing into phase 3. If we are successful in getting into phase 3, they will have guidelines and rules, and they already exist, and be allowed to open.
All right. Have our communications people do a training video for specifically beauty shops, or whatever you call those things now, and let them open. I mean,
Mayor, I do have one thing that, if I could jump in one last point.
Yes.
So as we're thinking about opening churches soon in Lancaster, one of the studies that came out recently was about this. We got this whole 6-foot rule. It has to do with how far our air droplets go when we're around other people. So recent studies have come out and talked about singing and loud speaking can actually propel droplets even further, maybe up to 18 feet, maybe even further. So when we think about things that happen in church, right? So this is why the mask is so important. This is why we want to think about being careful. And so even if someone's speaking loudly, or if they're singing, these are two examples of where we might see differences in how the virus is transmitted. It's just something to keep in mind. And again, that's why protecting each other and the social distancing is so important, and why we might have had some of these outbreaks before, early on, from Butte County and some of the other, Mendocino County. It might have been people weren't, things were going on normally in churches, but maybe everyone wasn't protected at that time by wearing the mask and keeping their distances.
That's why, Daryl, you got to help us with this too. Is the churches have got to understand that until Tiffany Tanner says it's okay, it's not okay. All right.
I think the churches understand, Rex. I think the issue that most pastors that I've been on phone calls with was we wasn't included in the conversation at all. And I think that's what made a lot of pastors feel some type of way. It wasn't, hey, let's talk. It made us feel a little something that 16-year-olds that run McDonald's were viewed more intelligently than pastors that are over, people. So we wanted to be in a conversation. And I think that's all it was. Tell us what we can do. Tell us how we can be safe. And that's what's happening now. And I think a lot of pastors appreciate that. Give us, all churches are not the same size.
I certainly appreciate that people felt bad and I didn't want them to feel bad. But you're pastors, for heaven's sakes. You guys talk a lot,
Right.
And if I get 10 of you in a room, there goes my whole day. All right. The goal was to figure out a way to make it safe.
Right.
Get that information and make the rules.
Right.
The thing is, Jason, we need to put HEPA filters wherever organizations meet. We need to make certain they have HEPA filters. Is that right, Larry? You got to press your button, Larry. Larry, I'm getting a little worried.
No, I turned myself off and turned it back on. Look, I think at the moment we've been up to this point keeping the groups down to 10 people, right? So yes, HEPA filters are important, but having a small crowd size has also been important. That allowed for social distancing. Being outside allowed for more distancing. There's some issues with wind, but being outside allowed for more space. So I think these are the challenges that we're dealing with. HEPA filters, we're using them in hospitals, in rooms to, as far as airflow and things like that. So I think each area is going to have to think about, what is the safest way to do it. I don't know how many people, again, we talked about this before, but there's ways of separating people by space and by time and by the size of the crowd that's in the room at any one time. So, and then keeping the high risk people separate, for the time being, because if there was transmission, at least if high risk people aren't there, they won't catch it. So HEPA filters are part of it.
No, Reg, I think we want to continue to discourage people from having group meetings, right? I mean, as much as there may be available to have group meetings, things of that nature, I think it's important that we continue to be extra cautious, regardless of HEPA filters or masks or anything like that, is that, if you're essential and you have to be there, take those precautions. If it's not essential, I don't want to say, public meeting. We don't have meetings at City Hall for more than 3 people. And if you're not, then we do a Zoom call, even if we're in the same building. It's still taking precautions like that are essential to follow, just regardless, because it doesn't have a negative impact. So I think we need to keep encouraging people to not do that.
Dr. Scott,
personally, I think the Zoom or these types of meetings are more efficient. Just had a court appearance, went on for an hour and a half. I was on Zoom. It was better than anything I'd ever. It's better. You can convey more information. Although I miss walking around and beating on the table. I just have to use it. Okay. You all good with that then? That's what we're going to do?
I'm just curious the length of time, Dr. Stock, you think that this is going to go in? I mean, is it until we get a vaccine, or how long is this going to last, if you think, this new change?
I think that if you're thinking about life before, the way it was 4 months ago, before this all started, on New Year's Eve, for instance, getting a vaccine is what's going to change that. Prior to that, I think we're going to be living with this. We're going to have to find a way to adapt and survive in ways that we can do it. It's going to be very tough on people in high-risk groups. I think people that aren't in high-risk groups are going to find ways to get out, get back to work, live their lives. And I think people that are at higher risk are going to, it's going to be a little tougher. That's for sure. And it's tough just with, being home. It's tough being isolated and all the things we talked about the senior homes. That goes for all senior citizens that are home right now. So we got to think about ways to mitigate that. But that's what I think.
So Larry, do we have the antiviral that they're having success with? What is that?
Remdesivir.
Yeah.
Remdesivir. So Remdesivir, yes, we do. We do have it at Antelope Valley Hospital. So we're one of the few hospitals that actually received it. So we're being very careful. who we're giving it to right now because we actually have all the major tools that we need. We actually have convalescent serum. Not every hospital has that. So the combination of being able to prone patients on their bellies to open up their lungs, which we do, the nursing crew does that with the respiratory therapists and the doctors. We have the remdesivir and we have convalescent serum. So we really have all the major tools that have shown to save lives and be helpful. Not all of them save lives, but they have been helpful. We haven't really found the magic key yet, but we do think that this convalescent serum seems to be having some real positive effect. This is a serum from patients who have survived. So using their antibodies.
So are we still using the plasma?
So that is plasma. That is the plasma product that comes from other patients who have survived, and then we give it to sick patients. And it's not a magic bullet, but it has turned a lot of people around. The patients, we still have very sick patients at the hospital. The ones who get sick do struggle, and it's a life-threatening illness. So we got to, it's a full court press for these people that end up in the ICU. Very tough.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So do we have to do anything?
Yeah, we need to do NB1 and NB2.
Correct.
Allison, can we do them together because the presentation was together?
We can move the items together because they're on the same general topic. Yes. So we want to move NB1, A and B, and NB2, A and B.
Okay, so I'll move NB1, A and B, NB2, A and B.
Is there a second?
A second.
I'll second that.
Call the roll, please.
City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Surely, yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Okay, NB2, Grocery Workers Appreciation Program.
We actually just approved that, Mr. Mayor.
What?
That was part of the motion on the last item and part of the staff presentation. So we've done NB2.
Did we have any comments on NB2?
Yes, I received one email comment from Fran Sayers. And her question is, what happens to the rest of the workers? Will they get appreciation if they haven't participated in the choice energy program? And that was the only comment I received.
Marvin appreciates them.
Tell them barbecue for them.
What?
Tell them to barbecue for them.
What did you say?
Barbecue. Marvin is the barbecue king.
Marvin's going to barbecue?
Yes.
I don't think you could be any more high risk than Marvin. Could you, Larry?
Hey, Larry, be very careful.
Larry was speaking about the seniors earlier, so he was concerned about you, Marvin.
Thank you, Larry. It's a good time to lose the mute button.
So, I read today that people who exercise half hour to an hour, they actually increase their immunity. And that now more than ever, people should be doing that every day to get those, whatever those things your body produces that makes you less likely to get sick, for what it's worth. I think that what we're going to see at the end of this crisis is the people who are in really bad shape, bad things happen to. And hopefully what we'll learn from that is to be prepared for the next one by being in much better physical condition than we are, for what it's worth. Thank you. Okay, now moving on. Council reports. Anybody got a report? ABTA, what do you got for us?
Sure. The ABTA did their board meeting today. We do have a balanced budget. We have a $97 million budget at ABTA, which is under what we spent last year because of all the grants. But it's $100 million organization now. All the numbers are going back to normal. So it's good. The main thing for the council report that I'd like to report on is the sanitation district. We did meet and I asked the sanitation district to remove the scheduled increase of 99 cents per 100,000 from the tax rolls for this year. They are going to do that. We're going to ratify it this Thursday. So we were able to do that, to remove it. And we were also able to create our own rebate program as far as for the restaurants or any non-essential business that was shut down. The sanitation district is based upon flow, so we came up with a formula, and that formula is going to be instituted this Thursday. So some restaurants that were closed down can get some type of relief and get some of their money back from their taxes that they've already paid. So it's good deals on the sanitation, good on the ABTA, and also ABA QMD. We do have a balanced budget. We have an incentive program for people to file at the ABA QMD that need help, so with their permits. So we have all those things into place, and we're moving right along.
Good. Thank you. Any other council reports?
I had a great time with the Boy Scouts of America. They did a food drive to help Kensington and in conjunction with Desert Vineyard. It was a great time, and met Tom Lackey there also. Stayed there a couple hours. The city was out there with us. It was a great time. Did some other things with Mom's House for the seniors. So it's just been a lot of projects, you know, just like everyone else, helping out with the different entities of food and providing hope and just helping people get through this rough time. So having a great time.
Thank you.
Voice fun.
Okay. Where are we? Okay, Jason, help me out. Wasn't I supposed to do some things here? Jason, you're talking to yourself. It's embarrassing.
Sorry. We didn't give you the mute button, but I got muted myself. So there you go. The Heroes Award, you're going to announce a Hero Award for next week, and deputy mayors, putting them on the agenda for next week or next council meeting.
What about the roundabouts?
The roundabouts are being posted. They could be posted. Depending on the timeline they need to be posted, we'll get them back to you as soon as all the legal postings have been done.
Okay. So
I thought I retired all the deputy mayorships. I thought after me it was no more.
After you, there shouldn't be any more.
I'm like Kobe Bryant. It should be retired.
No, I think Larry has done a very, very good job for us, unlike... I bow down to Larry. You're right. Larry, you've been excellent. You and Dr. Prawl. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, Marvin.
So like I said, I'm adding Tiffany Tanner and to the deputy mayor roster for the COVID-19. And I will be appointing Angela Underwood Jacobs to a deputy mayor position at the next meeting. We'll also be starting the Antelope Valley Hero Award, and that'll be for anybody who is from the Antelope Valley that does some heroic act. I think we've been remiss sometimes in not celebrating people from the Antelope Valley who are really national heroes. And so we'll be doing that. The roundabouts that I'll be proposing, the council name will be one for Marvin Christ and one for Dick Rutan. And I know that it's going to invite some controversy, but you know, that controversy is not something we've ever shied away from, and we will deal with this also. And I think that's all of it, isn't it, Jason?
Yes, sir.
You have a report.
Just real quick, 2 items. One is for your next council meeting, you'll also be having the budget come to you. We've been, as with everybody else, our budget is not going to be free from cuts, but I think we've weathered the storm better than most. So we'll be prepared to deliver that to you at our next council meeting, and then ratification at the second meeting in June. And lastly, just a shout out to our capital team. I know you guys have seen it out in the streets. The number of roads that we're paving based on your leadership and your direction and your efforts has been pretty cool. I went out when we opened the parks back up. I took a drive out to all the parks just to see how utilized they were at. And there were projects, there were neighborhoods that were paved that I forgot we were paving or didn't know I was paving because we're doing so many of them. So I know you guys see it out on your streets and everything else. The capital team is working hard. In this year's budget, we've got to estimate another $90 million worth of capital that's going to be hitting the streets. So that not only does stuff for the economy, but it focuses on our infrastructure and assures that we're being the stewards that we have to be for our public infrastructure. So with that, we'll plan for the next council meeting, and that's all I had.
Is Northrop Village proceeding?
Yes, we're working with a designer to working on the design as well as the environmental document to move forward on that. There is an impact based on the high-speed rail. There's some properties there that are impacted negatively or positively, depending on how you look at it. So we're making those adjustments well. But yes, we are moving forward.
Say that again. I'm sorry. The last part?
Yes, we are moving forward on it. There has been some adjustments to the original plan because of the high-speed rail, and they're designed through that location. But nonetheless, the main component of Northrop Village is still intact.
So, Cassandra Harvey, if Northrop were to jump in and put some type of monorail system from the Northrop Village to Northrop, that would be extremely beneficial to promoting the project. I just thought I'd throw that out to you. You can hit your unmute button if you want to say something.
I received that. I don't know what we can do, but I received that and I can pass it along. But we're going to be in for some challenges with this COVID, like a lot of other people are as well. So I know we're going to be tightening our belts. But I can mention it to the powers that be. That was mentioned in the council meeting.
Wait a minute. How could you be tightening your belts? It's government contracts. They didn't stop spending money. They didn't stop.
We have overhead.
What?
We have what's called indirect spending, where we're not on a contract, where the company pays for certain employees.
All right. Just a thought. It'd be a good idea.
It's a good thought.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I guess that's it, right? Now we go into executive session. How do we do that?
We have no closed session tonight, but we do have to provide the opportunity for public comments. And my understanding is there are 3 that have been submitted.
Oh, okay. So do we read it or do we let them talk?
The city clerk has those in email form, and she will read them to you.
Okay, so the next meeting, I don't want to go back to public meetings for a while because I just don't see any reason to do anything that's unnecessarily, that results in a risk that's unnecessary. And despite what everybody might think, I don't know that our meetings are essential services. So that being the case, I would like it so that the public can comment just like we are now on video. They can come on if they want. Let's see if that's something that's doable. Okay?
We'll look at it. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, until then now, let's ask the clerk to read the comment.
Okay. The first comment is from Madeline Kelly. And her comment reads, I passed Rex Parish Law Office and I noticed it was open. It had about 30 cars in the parking lot. My question is, why are there other businesses shut down and the mayor isn't complying with the law? The second email comment came from Tammy Mueller. And it reads, I wanted to show that there are many salons that are trying to put things in place to be able to reopen. My salon has been completely disinfected. I also have 5 hospital-grade air purifiers in my salon, of which 99% of salons do not have. I am staffed fully with extremely clean women that know the rules, as they have been in this business for many years. Our girls have all taken a barbicide class, of which we are certified in disinfecting, but of course, we have already gone through state board and we are well aware of how to disinfect. We hope that we can be treated as adults and be let back to work. I am 100% positive that when I have visited grocery stores in Home Depot or Lowe's, my salon will be above the standards in which people are exposed to in those facilities. If you wish to come photo my salon, it is completely ready and you are more than welcome to use it as an example. Thank you, Tammy Ramey, owner of 50th Avenue Salon in Lancaster. The last comment is from Tim Lee, and it reads, hello, as a local pastor working to plan our roadmap back to on-campus gatherings, I have reviewed the WHO recommendation for wearing face masks, as well as the Cal OSHA guidelines released by Governor Newsom on Monday. The WHO clearly recommends that masks should only be worn by healthy people if they are caring for patients with COVID-19, and otherwise should only be worn by those with a cough, sneeze, or trouble breathing. They do not recommend that healthy people wear masks in their day-to-day activities. The Cal OSHA guidelines for places of worship suggest masks be worn during indoor church services and say that masks do not need to be worn if worship services can be held outdoors. With that in mind, I would like to submit 2 topics for consideration. 1, can the council clarify on the local mask ordinance, particularly requiring masks to be worn by everyone when outside? What is the scientific reasoning behind maintaining an ordinance the WHO has recommended against as of April 6th and Cal OSHA has moved away from as of this week? 2, consideration by the City Council to lift the outdoor public mask wearing ordinance, particularly during outdoor church services, where healthy people gather and practice responsible distancing and hygiene. If this ordinance will not be lifted this week, it would be appreciated if the council can articulate the timeline for this ordinance, considering that Cal OSHA guidelines are recommendations for a 21-day period, and the Lancaster face mask ordinance has not yet been given an end date to the public knowledge. Thank you for your time, and God bless you all. Tim Lee. Those are all the comments that I received on non-agendized matters.
Thank you. The COVID-19 does really not care at all what your political affiliation or what you believe might be the case. It just doesn't care. We care what the Stock and Dr. Trump say. And if they say you have to wear a mask, you better wear a mask, because the WHO will not save you if you violate this law. Larry?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I would suggest that the reason that the mask guidance was presented was because this virus is spread primarily from person to person. And secondly, it can spread in people that are asymptomatic. So you're actually quite infectious a couple days before you become asymptomatic. And when you feel healthy, you don't know that you're going to become symptomatic. So again, that is the reasoning behind it. If there was no asymptomatic spread, we could separate out people that were sick from healthy, and we would know who needed to wear the mask. And everyone else should stay home. But we can't do that, and that's the reason for the mask.
But I do agree with them. If they're healthy, it'd be fine. But we have no way of knowing who's healthy and who's not. Okay. As to us being open, my understanding is, one, we're not open to the public, and we are in compliance with the law. But I will ask Jason if you could look into that and tell me if we're in error. Quite frankly, I do what my wife tells me to do, and he says we're in compliance. But
we'll double check.
But she was wrong once before. She said, I do.
Awesome.
You're still up, Rex.
I believe you're muted, Mayor Pierce.
So did you miss all that, what I said?
Yes.
Yep, all of it.
Good luck when you get home.
You just heard the part about I do.
Okay, so you got to that part.
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. All right. Now, I think that's it, isn't it? Aren't we done?
Unless there are any comments from the council, we're ready for adjournment.
Okay. The next regular meeting will be Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 at 5 p.m. It will also be a Zoom meeting or whatever we call these things. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for your comments. Stay safe, stay strong, stay home. We're beginning to see that this will end, and I hope everybody sees that too. The city will assist you in every way possible in opening back up and getting people back to work. I do think that people ought to be able to cut hair and do what they do as long as they wear the masks and gloves. There doesn't seem to be a reason why they shouldn't. So what are the odds of us being able to do what the state says instead of the county? Anybody know?
There's 47 counties that have been able to go deeper into phase 3 of the 58 counties. All of those are based on data and science, of which the data and science are in our favor. So if we're able to do that, we can get into that next phase. And as Shannon reported, that next phase is haircutting and some other things like that. But and dine-in restaurants. So I think that we got to research, but yeah, the likelihood is very strong.
It's when.
Well, that's we don't know. So we're going to make an aggressive stance to find out when the county petitions the state. I followed Kern counties, and we're copying their attestation. And from the day that they approved it to the day it was submitted, it was about 2 days. The state turned it around and said, "You're okay to open." So I understand they're moving quickly. It's not a very long bureaucratic process.
So shouldn't we target Friday so that the what are they called? Do they still call them beauty shops, or am I dating myself? What are they
Barbers.
called? What?
Mine's called the barber.
Hair salons.
Hair salon. Okay, those things. Friday, let them open, Jason.
I agree.
Now,
I'll reiterate, our goal is to get them open by Friday, but we do not have the authority to allow them to open unless the state gives us that authority.
okay, but the state has said okay. It's the county that hasn't said okay, right?
The state has to say okay to us petitioning them. The county's been on our side. The county is now on our side.
Okay, so, but our numbers are lower than other places that have gone to phase 3, right?
Those are absolutely going to be our talking points. That's what we're going to try to tell the state. But the state has to let us do that.
Are they lower? Larry, are they lower?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, Allison, why is that not an abuse of discretion?
They haven't turned us down yet. We have to submit.
Okay, so we've submitted, tell them to open by Friday. Now,
We just need to go through the process at this point.
okay, good. All right, thanks. Let's get really aggressive with these people. I mean, they'll forget about us, you know? We'll have people out of business before they remember we're even here. All right. I love all you guys. I love the city. I'm happy with how it's proceeding. Larry, I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you came along.
Yes, Larry.
It would have been a mess without you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Larry.
Bye-bye.
I'm glad you're part of the deputy mayor fraternity, sorority, fraternity.
Thanks, Joe.
Mr. Mayor, will you declare us adjourned?
Excuse me, Daryl, don't call it a sorority. We're not that liberal.
I said fraternity and sorority. Cell frat.
See you later.
Mr. Mayor, will you declare us adjourned, please? Mr. Vice Mayor, will you declare us adjourned, please?
You stand adjourned.
Oh, God.